Thanks everyone for joining us today. My name is Lauren Boyce. I'm the director of our EnergySmart Homes program here at Sustainable Westchester. And we are joined with our co-hosts today from the Hudson Valley Regional Council. You'll be hearing from Liz Sun, who will be talking all about the updates to the program. We're also going to hear from some other folks. Mary Lambert will be speaking about electric vehicles, and also we'll be hearing from Dobbs Ferry. Janet Rosoff is going to share her experience with EnergySmart Homes. So we've got a lot of good stuff to cover today. We're going to touch on the 3 community campaigns, and then I'm hoping that at the end of our meeting, I'm hoping we could get through all the slides by 1, so then we'll have a half an hour for Q&A with one another to really dig into some plans and answer some questions. So for those who have not seen a Sustainable Westchester presentation in the past, which I think is just probably a few of you, Sustainable Westchester is a nonprofit organization, and it's our goal to enable sustainability programming to help ensure a better future for all of our communities here in Westchester County. And we are a membership-based organization, which means pretty much every single municipality in Westchester County is a member, including Westchester County government as well. So this allows us to support the municipalities in endeavors just like clean energy communities. Okay, and then we have a whole suite of programs that we offer to residents, businesses, municipalities, nonprofits, and so on. Maybe you are a customer of Westchester Power, our community choice aggregation program. Perhaps you're participating in community solar or excited to use the community solar program as a CEC campaign. We're going to cover EnergySmart Homes today. And if you have questions about any of the other campaigns or any of the other programs, we could talk about those at a later date. So let us get right into it. I don't know why these slides are moving so slowly. Here we are, stuck on this slide. That's fun. Can I move it forward this way? There we go. Okay, so excitingly, we have done a lot of work together. I see so many people on the call. I feel like we're just friends already if we haven't met, but so many great people that have done really incredible work implementing clean energy communities in their own local area. So to date, we have earned quite a significant amount of money. Over 74 community campaigns have happened. $300,000 in grant amounts have been secured, and we're moving towards large sums of money being brought in for the municipalities themselves. So there is even more money on the table right now, and we want to help you access it. Okay. All right, so let's get right into the nitty gritty, and we're going to hear from Liz Sun from the Hudson Valley Regional Council.
Okay, great. Thanks, Lauren. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Liz Sun, and I serve as a Mid-Hudson Clean Energy Communities Coordinator with the Hudson Valley Regional Council for the NYSERDA Clean Energy Communities program. I now serve Westchester communities, and I'm here today to give you a short overview of how you can get credit for your campaign in the CEC program. Next slide.
Sorry, I'm clearly having trouble with this.
It's okay. Okay, so a little bit about the Hudson Valley Regional Council. So we're one of 9 in the New York State, and we provide technical support to municipalities across various programmatic areas, which are listed here. We pride ourselves in providing impartial, transparent, and informative technical support to local governments, and feel free to reach out to us on any of these areas. Okay, so many of you are already involved in the Clean Energy Communities program, which is awesome. But just as a refresher, the program offers flexible grant funding for clean energy projects with no local cost share. And it creates pathways to lower utility bills in homes, businesses, and municipal buildings through a variety of high impact actions. So like I said, I am the CEC coordinator for Westchester County, as well as Eleanor, who is the other CEC coordinator. And we're here to provide you resources and toolkits designated to facilitate your pursuit of clean energy high impact actions. Since the launch of the program in 2016, over 850 local governments are participating in the program, with over 500 who have been designated. As you can see, there's still a lot of funding that is going into the program, with 17 million in program grants and over $880,000 in allocations. Within the program, there are 3 different types of grants available. So there is the designation grants, point-based grants, and action grants. To become designated, you would need to complete 4 high impact actions, which would earn you a $5,000 grant. The point-based grants are based on a number of points associated with each high impact action. And then finally, the action grants can be earned by completing a community campaign.
And Liz, if I can interrupt, from past experience, we've worked with some communities that have had a little bit of difficulty bringing their municipality on board to participate in CEC. And this designation
Oh no, I think we lost Lauren. Lauren, are you there?
Yes, I think she froze.
Maybe you want to keep going, Liz. Lauren can chime.
froze. Sorry, I'm sorry about that. So I was just saying how the designation grant is really helpful. If your municipality is not on board, this is a great first step to bring them in. So it's a kind of like a nice carrot early on.
Definitely, I would totally agree with that.
Okay. Here comes the next slide.
Great. So this slide just shows you all of the 24 actions that are included in the 14 high impact action categories. The one that we'll be talking about today is going to be focusing on community campaigns. Okay. So as of June of this year, some changes have occurred to the program, mainly in community campaigns. So there are new and increased number of grants available for 3 types of community campaigns: solar, electric vehicles, and clean heating and cooling. They've also added additional achievement levels 2 and 3. So if you have done a campaign in the past, that would be now considered a level 1. And so you have the opportunity to continue doing your campaign and get more signups for more grants and points. Additionally, they have removed demand response as a campaign type, as well as energy efficiency options for clean heating and cooling and solar for all from community solar.
Right. So too bad, some losses for sure, but there's so much more money on the table. We're keeping positive about the changes because they are good.
Definitely. And I will add that if you are currently doing a demand response campaign and have been approved previously to this update, that you can continue to do and finish that campaign.
For points only, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, and so this slide shows the new amounts of funding, points, and signups that you will need for each campaign type. It's definitely a little tricky to look at, but the right side shows you what you're able to do if you're a large community. So those with a population of higher than 40,000, and then small and medium on the left side.
I wanted to do this one where I have a choice, and then I should.
Okay, and if you're looking at these levels right now and trying to do some back of the envelope math, I have that here on the next slide so you could see what your earning potential is. So small communities have the ability to keep building, small and large communities have the ability to keep building. Level 1, you complete, move on, level 2, and there's funding at each level. Anything else you want to add here?
No, I think you covered it. Okay, so to get started on your community campaign, you will first need to submit a scoping document. We and Sustainable Westchester are available to help you complete that scoping document. And it must be submitted and approved before your campaign starts. Once you have completed your campaign, you will need to submit documentation to the portal that shows evidence of your municipality participating in the campaign, as well as a customer list. So as of August 1st, this is the number of remaining action grants for the campaigns. And this is just a screenshot of clean heating and cooling. There are still a lot of grants available for solar and EVs as well.
So can we talk about this for a second? So like if I look at the first row, community campaigns, clean heating and cooling for a large community, there's 30 of the $15,000 grants that were created around the state, and 20 are remaining. Is that the correct way to read this?
Yes, so there are 20 remaining in our region, and there are 30 that were given out statewide.
Okay, got it. Any questions on that from anybody here?
I might just add, Lauren and Liz, that those numbers, I believe, include the grants that were given out before this update, right? So there were a lot of community campaign grants that were given away already. So if it feels like, oh gosh, 10 have already been completed, that's 10 large community clean heating and cooling grants over the course of this program so far. So since 2021. So there's still plenty of time, I think, left to be running a clean heating and cooling campaign.
Right, makes sense. And also if you consider the level 2, so if a campaign has been completed by a larger city, they've already probably knocked out this level and then they're moving on, they're starting here.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, so 20 available, 20 created. Same for level 3, 10 available, 10 created. Okay, and Judy has a question. Judy, you want to go ahead?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
So, and I apologize because I came in a couple of minutes late, but is an action grant the same as a community campaign grant? So this is one where this is not a point-based grant, this is one where you actually do a campaign, is that correct?
Yes, you are correct.
Okay, thank you.
So I guess this chart also exists for community solar and electric vehicles. Okay,
Yes.
and the link is there at the bottom. Okay, great.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Well, what exactly does the levels indicate? I'm not clear on that.
I think that's the next slide, right?
Oh,
Liz?
okay. I'm jumping the gun. Sorry.
No, you're right on the same page.
Okay.
Maybe not. Hold on.
I think if you
It
go
was the
back,
previous slide, right?
Yeah. Okay. I'm moving slowly through these slides today. I don't know why, but that's just how it's working.
maybe
I
one
know.
more.
I know I'm not on the right one. Still not. Like stuck in this weird. Okay, I think with this one more ahead of us. Here we go.
Yes, perfect. So the different levels, they have to do with the amount of customers that you get signed up for community solar or how many heat pumps you get installed. And so, like I said, level 1 would be what you had done before. So like if you had a campaign and you got 5 signups for heat pumps, then you have finished that campaign and you would get the grant after that. But now they've added in these additional levels. And so if you were to get 10 more after the 5, then you could submit for the second grant and get those additional grant size and points. Sorry, it's really small on my screen, but
So
yeah,
is
so it's
the intention to do it sort of in stages? So for example, in my community, we in Village of Amerenik, we did a community solar campaign. Now that I'm looking at this, we got to level 1. We thought we just got a $5,000 grant for that, but maybe these are new.
Yeah, this is here, right? Yep, 5,000.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. It's okay. I was looking at the large community. So we got the $5,000 grant. Are we now being incentivized to do another community solar campaign, or should we have, like right now we're doing a clean heating and cooling campaign. We're in the midst of it. Should we file once we get to 5, or should we wait it out and to see if we can get 10 or 15?
So you will need to submit in order. So if you're doing the clean heating campaign, and this is the first time you're doing it, then you would submit for level 1. But
Okay.
yeah, and then I would definitely encourage you to continue doing that community solar for level 2.
All righty, great. I didn't know that these levels existed. That's good to know.
Yeah,
They're brand new. That's why we're doing this.
Yay, okay.
Yes. And they stack on top of each other. So that is an important thing to realize. I hadn't registered that in the beginning. So you check off level 1, you get those 10 customers, you get that $5,000. Then you keep building. A new 50 customers for community solar brings in 10,000. So we'll review this a few more times throughout the call as we talk about each.
Lauren, can I ask a quick
Yes.
question on
Yes.
that? If you run a first campaign and you make the level, but you also exceed the level, can you credit those houses to the second level, even though you didn't have a separate campaign?
Eleanor, do you want to go for that, or Liz?
Go for it, Liz.
I would say that you can split them up. So if you were to get more than the 5 or 10, then you should maybe submit a customer list just with the first 5 that you had gotten, and then wait to do the second one.
But the caveat to that is that any submissions for level 2 or level 3 have to be after the installations for heat pumps or community solar signups have to be after this new round of the program was released. So after June 1st, 2023. So essentially, if you had 7 or 8 people install heat pumps in your level 1 campaign, and that was before June 1st, you can't count those 2 extra signups in your level 2 campaign. But if you had more people install heat pumps after June 1st, you can start counting those as part of your level 2 campaign.
And do you need to do a new scoping document for each campaign?
You do not.
Okay,
As of
'cause
right now, they're accepting just the first scoping document.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. We'll definitely keep circling around this idea, which are important. Okay. We're on remaining points. This is where we are. Yeah.
Yeah, so unfortunately, they haven't added more point-based grants, just the community campaigns. So as you can see, essentially, there are only 3,000 point grants for large and small communities available, and then the 4,000 to 5,000 for large communities. So I definitely encourage thinking about doing a community campaign, because that's right now where most of the funding is going towards. Okay, so once you have done your campaign, submitted the documentation, and you are notified that you're eligible for a grant award, you'll need to submit a grant project proposal. Since most of Westchester communities have already done a level 1 campaign, you would be eligible for a grant that is larger than $5,000. And for grants that are larger than $5,000, you need to propose either a pre-approved type or a custom project. And so some of the pre-approved types include LED street lights, solar installations, EV purchases, getting building upgrades, and they had recently included electric landscaping equipment as a pre-approved type as well. Generally, these are also going to be much quicker review process. If you do a custom project, it can take up to 6 weeks or longer. But we do have this really great grant project ideas guide that we would be happy to share with all of you. That includes some ideas of what you might want to do with your grant. Some of them include ideas that have been used before and have gotten approved, and then also what might not necessarily get approved.
And I liked those grant idea projects. Here's also some ideas for if it's less than $5,000. I had not even known about the internship one. So there's a lot of ways once your work is done, you run your community campaign, you earn that funding. There's a lot of ways to spend it. And I know a lot of the folks here on this call have done interesting projects, composting toilets in parks and electric landscaping replacement equipment, coupons for residents, or even electric landscaping for the fleet, or electric cars for the municipal fleet. There's a lot of amazing projects that have been done with this money. Okay. Go ahead, Eleanor.
I was just going to say, I think Westchester communities actually are, if you go back to the previous slide, I think Westchester communities are the reason why we have all of those various exciting grant ideas up there, because you all got your $5,000 grants so early and you came up with all the ideas for the rest of the state. So now the rest of the state gets this grant guide and picks from your ideas essentially, which is exciting.
Okay, so now we're going to dive in a little bit to the different community campaigns. We're going to talk about how Sustainable Westchester can support the clean heating and cooling community campaign. And to begin that, we're going to start with a little presentation from Janet from Sustainable Dobbs. She's a member of Sustainable Dobbs, and she's joined by a few other members of the committee, and also they are pursuing climate smart communities. So great things happening in Dobbs Ferry. Janet, do you want to share a little bit about the Energy Smart Homes campaign?
Sure. Hi, everyone. We have a new climate smart communities task force that we're just forming, and I believe 2 of our members are on here, Matthew Gorse and Carol Pollock, if you guys are here. We started this campaign in the spring, and great. And we, with a lot of help from Sustainable Westchester, thank you, and from the Regional Council, Eleanor, you were a great help. We did the scoping document. We did a lot of tabling. We do a lot of events in Dobbs, so we had a lot of flyers at each of the events. This is a tree lighting, the pictures here from the tree lighting ceremony and pumpkin fair. We have a dirt fest, we have a Ferry Festa. So we had a lot of that kind of stuff. We put the flyers in the library, who are our partners, in the Village Hall. And we have a lot of social media. So Sustainable Dobbs has a website, and we also send out a newsletter, Facebook. We have Sustainable Dobbs Facebook and Instagram social media pages, and the village itself has a mayor's newsletter that goes out every 2 weeks. So we just kind of put a lot of information out in that way. We also got banners through Sustainable Westchester to hang in town. We don't have pictures of that yet, but we will get that because we are starting that again, starting September. So we will get photos of that up. And yeah, I think beyond that, we worked to get we found 5 new installations and sent that along to NYSERDA and got approval, which was terrific. It was great. And so we're starting a new campaign for the 2nd level right now.
Great. It was a pleasure to work with Sustainable Dobbs, and you'll see in the following slides the resources that we have available for committees and communities to use. And you guys did a great job of just amplifying the messages that we had and putting your own spin on it. So bravo.
You guys were also, can I just say, you guys are great. You're always there to answer questions. It was also good. There was something that we want to start to do for this new campaign, which is I had reached out originally to all the contractors that you had posted on your website. And some of them, I'd say about half of them came back to me and were prepared to do a kind of roundtable. So that's the next thing that I would like to do, is have a roundtable at our library, so that people in the community could come and ask questions, and they were more than happy to help us with that. So that was a great connection. So thanks.
Yeah, and definitely for any events, and you're going to hear about an upcoming event we're going to help in Mamaroneck with, but please, if people want to work with the contractors, we're very glad to help make the requests and also balance the requests that are going to the different contractors. This way, if we're doing multiple events, they all kind of get an equal share. So let's keep moving forward. Unless there's any questions for Janet, now might be a good time if you have a question fresh in your mind.
I have a question. Were you, when you submitted your 5 heat pump, was that at the end of your campaign, or is your campaign still ongoing?
It was still ongoing, but when we got to 5, then we submitted the 5.
Oh, and then you can get the grant, so you don't have to wait till the end of your campaign.
There
Yes,
was
sure.
no.
Oh, you didn't have an end date.
I don't remember giving an end date.
We're going to talk about how the scoping docs and the approval date, there's like kind of not arbitrary, but kind of, we're going to just put these dates in our scoping docs, and we'll talk about that.
Arbitrary is a good word, I think, Lauren.
Oh, okay. I don't want NYSERDA to get mad at me if they watch the recording. So, all right. So this is what we're going to hear about. I'm just going to launch right into it. So first, I recognize that people are on this call starting in different places. I know there's people that have done a community campaign many years ago, probably haven't thought about this even in 2-3 years. There's people on the call that are in our cohort number 2. They have an active community campaign right now. They submitted scoping docs and they're working on getting what is now their level 1 jobs completed. And there's also people on this call who have never done a Clean Energy Communities campaign at all before. And I just want to be clear, we're going to be able to help you at each level of the game. And just to review what we learned so far, if you have done a campaign in the past and you want to get started to move on to level 2, you can use your original scoping docs from your very old campaign. You're probably going to want to update the volunteers. You're going to update the timeline, but you can use those original scoping docs. No action needed right now if you have an active campaign. And if you've never done a campaign before, I will share the scoping docs in detail. So as Liz mentioned, there is a change to clean heating and cooling. In the past, we were advertising air source heat pumps, ground source heat pumps, heat pump hot water heaters, and insulation projects. So a new rule for Clean Energy Communities is only the heat pump projects can be counted. So that's fine. We'll help you count your jobs and get the completed list finished. We won't include jobs that are about insulation, obviously, because those don't count. But we think this is a critical part of the outreach about Energy Smart Homes. So when we have events, when we do flyers and provide you with brochures and materials, it is going to include information about the home energy assessment. And I think everyone would agree that it's still very important to advertise. And if you're marketing from your sustainability group or your municipality, you're going to want to have information about the free home energy audit or what people need to do to get started on this work. So, you know, we make do with what we have, and that's kind of what the situation is. But definitely I included the sad face emoji here because we are sad about that decision. Insulation, as many people know here, is a really important part of getting a heat pump. We want to make sure the house is sealed up nice and tight. Doesn't always work in that order. Sometimes people do get their heat pumps first and then their insulation project, but either way, we're going to make this into a happy story, tie a bow on it, and we'll be okay to move forward.
Quickly, Lauren, we have a
Yep.
question about the home energy audit. June,
Okay.
I don't know if you want to come off of the mic.
Yeah, thank you. The free issue. So I was under the impression that the home energy assessment was at no cost, but as I've recently taken a fresh look at the documents, I understand it's free for some. Is that an income?
No, so the home energy assessment, hi June, everybody. June is one of our board members of Sustainable Westchester, and she's volunteering to do a community campaign. So thanks for your involvement. And the question about, is the home energy assessment free? I just want to clear the air. The home energy assessment is a free assessment. There is one contractor on our list that charges for the assessment, but all the other contractors do it for free. And this is talking about a home energy assessment to diagnose a house for insulation and air sealing. If you're calling a contractor for a site visit for an air source heat pump or geothermal heat pump, that's definitely free. It's just like calling a contractor for an estimate. So free assessments, one contractor charges, they do credit that assessment cost to the cost of the job if you choose to go forward with them, but free assessment, and you can have as many assessments as you want. And that is all different than in past times.
And just a clarification, a free assessment doesn't require you to work with that contractor going forward, does it?
No, you're not obligated to work with the contractor, but typically whoever does the work is going to want to do their own assessment, just like a dentist or a car mechanic is not going to work from another company's estimate. They're going to do their own testing of your home.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, and thanks, June. Okay, so let's get back into what are the participation levels. Again, I just want to be super clear about this because I was confused from the beginning. We are building on these levels. They're additive. So at the end, if your community is a small community and you choose to move through level 1, level 2, level 3, your total earning potential is $35,000 for all 3 of the levels, and that represents 30 jobs installed overall. Same situation for a large community. If you get all 3 levels, your total earning potential is $105,000 for 60 jobs. Wow, 60 jobs, that's huge. That's a really big number. And a campaign like that, or like both of these, this is not a 6-month little easy thing. This is a long-term planning. These signups will trickle in, and we'll talk about how you'll maybe fold in information to the outreach you're already doing so that over time we can achieve these numbers. Okay. The home energy upgrade process is something that I'm just going to zoom through really fast, but we're encouraging people to sign up for that home energy assessment or a site visit with a contractor. We help people tap into the different utility rebates, different NYSERDA rebates, and now also federal rebates and tax credits, and with the end goal of having a quieter, cleaner, and more comfortable home. We have the partner installer list. So really a lot of the legwork for a clean heating and cooling community campaign is already done for you when you partner with EnergySmart Homes. With our partner installers, we've vetted the contractors. We have relationships with them to deploy them to your library events or to send them out tabling at your community events. We work closely with them. If there's issues, we're able to work through those problems, and these are who we recommend. And then just a reminder, we also have some homeowner support. So the last time I gave this call, I think it was just me. We weren't double Lauren power, but now Lauren squared is here to help on homeowner support. People can call in on the phone, they can email us, and they can check out our website resources, and we're happy to provide that customized energy navigator type of information on the phone. And this work is now funded. our homeowner outreach is funded through the Regional Clean Energy Hub. So that is a great thing. If you need anybody, if you need help, tell them call Lauren, and they're twice as likely to hear back from us twice as fast. So as you're embarking on your level 1 or level 2 campaign, you've got the marketing resources inventory, which does need to be updated, but it has tons of information, links to social media posts that you can share. I know Bronxville and Mamaroneck have been sharing them a lot lately. We've got case study examples, video testimonials, really anything you'll need. Templates for flyers and even more. So please check out the toolkit, and we'll send this slideshow around to everybody, and we'll include the links to the toolkit. This is just an overview of the roles and the framework. So in past campaigns, Sustainable Westchester has definitely provided more support. And I can't tell who's talking to mute them. So definitely when we were doing EnergySmart campaigns, Sustainable Westchester was helping lead the way in a really big way. Through this new round of community campaigns, we're going to be here to help you as much as possible, but we're not going to be able to provide as much help as we were in the past. Kills me to say that, and I'm horrible at saying no, so we'll try our best to accommodate, but just a caveat that there is a little bit less support than in the past. But this is a great reference sheet. We're always here to do homeowner support. We are funded to do outreach to homeowners, so you can always have people call our number. We will respond to them to talk through their next steps, what's available to them, what are their rebates. We want to support you as volunteers, and we're also going to help to track the projects. Hudson Valley Regional Council, they're going to be here assisting with grant applications. They can advise on the points and the campaigns. They can explain submission guidelines. If there's trouble with the portal, they can help to troubleshoot. The contractor partners are also here. They're providing information about rebates. They're responding to homeowners. They're doing the assessments and, of course, installing the work. And then you, as the community team, you're assembling who are the volunteers in your community, or who are the committee members that are doing this work. You're bringing in the enthusiasm, the local participation. You're engaging the groups. Hey, can we do something with the firefighters? Oh, is there a national night out we could table at? So the things you're typically doing, you would just want to fold this information in. Coordinating events and also helping to track completed projects. Okay. And then I know I have to hurry this up. So we do have cohort 2 of our CEC campaign running. We have events that are happening right now that you could even get your scoping docs submitted and join in to help. That might be a little bit of a fast turnaround, but it's the beginning of August now. So perhaps campaigns could get started in September, depending on how fast we get your scoping doc submitted. But either way, Hudson Valley Climate Solutions Week is happening. It's going to be September 16th to 24th. We have an event in Mamaroneck happening on September 17th. And we're also going to be doing a virtual drop-in session for people to get home energy assessment information and be advised by an energy advisor or maybe an energy coach. We'll see. So information coming about that. We'll also start rolling out our webinar series. So I know many people have participated in that in the past, but we'll pick a date for a webinar. We'll organize the contractors. We'll ask you, hey, do you want to co-sponsor? And then you could bring that to your local community, have it included in your municipal e-blast, hang the flyer at town hall, and so on and so forth. And then some other ideas that are out there that we definitely would need help from your community teams to accomplish. But you know, we used to do house tours before COVID. We moved them to virtual house tours during the pandemic, but we could get back out there again. And the house tours are lovely. If anyone has done the Healthy Yards Pollinator Pathway tour, kind of similar to that, but not nearly as big. Basically, you get a few people in the area to volunteer open up their house, show off their technologies. We can arrange having the contractors at their houses to speak to customers. We make a little map, and we could be sensitive to people's addresses too. So we could do that carefully. But if we want to do a house tour, that would be exciting. And also launch parties. So if you wanted to have a kickoff event at your library, or Bedford had done one at their cool movie theater, people have done them at interesting places. Years ago, we did some at different bars. So if you wanted to have a launch party, we could help with that. Sustainable Westchester couldn't lead the way on organizing the event, but we would be happy to help. So those are just some ideas out there for how to get this all moving. And then this is more for reference for later, but if you say, hey, I'm excited, I'm ready to do this, the campaign approval steps are listed out here. So the first step is, you're going to work with your municipality, get the buy-in from important people. Then you're going to start to fill out the scoping document. So the scoping document, I have a template for you. You can use the template that includes, it's about 90% filled out, the template. You just have to do the last 10% for your local municipality, filling like the local volunteer information, that kind of stuff. As we said, level 1 completed campaigns, you can use your original scoping document. Then you'll submit it through the NYSERDA portal, and then you have campaign approval. And this is the sticky, tricky point that like confuses everybody, because like you can say, hey, we've been promoting this campaign for a long time. We've been doing this. We have examples. Doesn't matter. For the CEC way of paperwork, the campaign approval date is when NYSERDA says, hey, your campaign begins on this day. And after the date that they say, then we can start counting completed jobs. So the approval date is a very important one, so that as soon as that timer or ticker starts, we can include jobs. And that'll be important. You'll hear from Carmen about community solar. We'll come back to this idea of campaign duration and timeline, because that is important. But I have to stop talking. I've been talking way too long. Here is a little preview of the campaign scoping doc. This is a link to the template in the drive. And then once you have approval, this is how to submit the scoping docs on the portal. And then once you have approval for the campaign to begin, we will do the campaign together. We're going to go through all these steps, do marketing. As your marketing is coming out in the local area, you can email that to me or to Lauren Kay. We will save it and be helping you build campaign documentation. So once you have achieved the right number of installations, we'll also assemble with you the examples of your marketing in the field. So then we'll submit, you'll get your approval, submit the grant paperwork, and then get your project complete. This is you'll come back to this in many months. This is how to submit those final paperwork pieces. And now we're going to switch gears and talk about another campaign for CEC Community Solar. And then I think at the end, we'll go through questions for each different type of campaign. Okay, so Carmen, do you want to take it away?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Carmen, and I work with our solar department here at Sustainable Westchester. So I'll be speaking about what community solar is, the benefits it brings, and how we can help with CEC campaigns. Before we get started, I just want to give you an update on the status of community solar. We currently have limited capacity. In 2022, there was much policy uncertainty in the area, and to the point that we had in question the future of community solar. So our team had to dedicate a lot of time along with other industry partners to convince the Public Service Commission to shift incentives from what would be incentivizing general solar to community solar. And so also in 2022, towards the end, we had the Inflation Reduction Act come about, and it incentivizing community solar. So there was finally a pickup on projects in about 2023. Very few, because we still have a lot of guidance to finalize in terms of the Inflation Reduction Act. And once that's finalized, we're really hoping that in 2024, there will be more projects available. So we want to apologize for the long waiting time for those that were in the enrollment queue for our community solar opportunities. It just so happened that we were faced with the policy uncertainty and the challenges on trying to find community solar opportunities where they could be. Okay, so regarding the timeline for CEC campaigns, we advise that those interested in working on a community solar CEC campaign to plan for a 24-month campaign duration. Again, that's because we don't know how fast the projects will trickle in and how fast opportunities will rise. So now I'll continue with a brief overview of community solar on the next slide, Lauren. Okay, so community solar is available for those who do not have solar on their roof, either because they don't own the roofs or just are not able to set up solar for some reason. And it's a way for them to receive savings for participating in a solar program. What ends up happening is solar panels are set up on a project site. It could be an airport as an example. Subscribers are allocated a portion of that project, that grid, and eventually the subscriber receives savings on their electricity bill. Next slide, please. So there are good benefits to enrolling in community solar. You could save up to 10% on the monthly electricity bills for the life of a project, which could be about 25 years. Again, there are no installations needed on the roofs of subscribers. It will not change if you are in an assistance program. It will not change who your electricity deliverer is, who your electricity supplier is. There's no cost to join, and you can cancel anytime. And your involvement in the project supports local solar projects. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, we have limited capacity. So the way in which we're operating at Sustainable Westchester currently is we are advertising our enrollment queue. And in order to sign up for it, you would go to sustainablewestchester.org/solar. You would pick whether you want to be in the enrollment queue for Con Ed or NYSEG. Con Ed if your utility is Con Ed, and NYSEG if your utility is NYSEG. And then you sign up for it, and then we'll just advise you that we will reach out to you when an opportunity is available. Additionally, we are promoting climate equity by providing community solar subscription opportunities first to community members that will benefit the most. So we are prioritizing low to moderate income households, as well as those residing in state designated disadvantaged community areas. Next slide, please. So how can we help with the CEC campaigns? We can help you with the scoping documents. We're able to provide a template. Eventually we'll keep track of who in the enrollment queue we place into projects. And as we do this, we would provide information about whether you've reached a level for community solar. Also, I'm sorry to skip that, but we would also be available for providing you informational materials and providing you support for info sessions for community solar. Okay, that would be all. Anyone have any questions? I believe I saw something in the chat. I'm not sure. I didn't get to read it. Oh. I believe that's not for me, Gregory's question.
No chat questions that I see.
Okay.
Actually, I have a question. Carmen. It's Janine Caracas from the town of North Salem. How many, when you say place in a queue, do you have any estimate of how many community solar spots are going to be available? I mean, if we sign up 150 people and promise them community solar and a 10% discount, what happens if we can't deliver that to them?
to the kind of to our campaign and to what people, how they trust us and what we're promising to them.
Right. And one important thing to note is that we don't have a clear visual as to how many projects will be in the horizon. We are advising everyone who is joining our enrollment queue that there will be a waiting period, that we are uncertain about the waiting time. However, they're not bound or tied to our program. If they so happen to find another opportunity that is related to community solar, via another organization, they can certainly sign up for that. And again, we are coming up with opportunities. Just to let you know, as an example, we've had an Austining project come up and we had about 40 spots available. And then we also had another set of projects where we needed to replace customers that had left the project. And then we started to use our enrollment queue to fill up those spots. So that's the sort of projects that we are working with. They're small. Some are in the horizon, but we really are not certain about how fast more projects will be coming in.
Okay, thank you. It just makes it a little more complicated to promote and to spend the energy on the campaign. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's definitely not as easy. There's big limits on this. Dennis, hi.
Village of Hudson. I have a quick question. What is the minimum capacity of the so-called community solar? There are some municipalities here that have limitations in terms of space. So I want to know what's the minimum capacity in terms of strength, in terms of space, and the number of arrays and the power generated. Thank you very much.
So Carmen, the question is how much capacity is there with community solar in Westchester right now, right, Dennis? Is that what you're asking? How many spots are available? For some reason, I can't hear you.
Oh, can you hear me?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, what's the minimum capacity for a solar system to be a community solar system?
Oh, okay. Carmen, do you know?
Sorry, I am really having a hard time hearing.
What's the minimum capacity for a system to be community solar?
Oh, okay. One of the smallest projects we worked on was, or are currently working on, is 86 kilowatts. So it could be small. It's just harder in terms, like there's a lot more work that different partners need to do for such a small project, but it's possible.
Where is the 86 kilowatt? Is that
on our headquarters? 86 kilowatts. Did I say that correctly? Yeah, I believe so. It's the Mount Kisco project. It's on top of our roof.
Okay, so that building's pretty big. So definitely like a rooftop solar, that wouldn't work for community solar. A rooftop of a house, that would be too small. But maybe Dennis has in mind some places that a rooftop solar farm could go. No sound again.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yep.
All right, sorry about that. In previous municipalities I've worked with, they have, for the individual houses, they have a maximum capacity of about 25 kilowatts. So that's why I'm asking that, what do you categorize as community solar? Because if I can generate 25 kilowatt in a community setting instead of putting it on top of the roof, does that constitute a community solar, or do you have a minimum capacity that has to be generated? And how many number of solar arrays do you allow? Of course, if you have a minimum power, then that would depend on, that will have a factor on the number of solar arrays that has to be within that area. So that's my specific question. Thank you.
Sorry, Lauren, I wasn't able to hear again.
So the minimum capacity of a system to be a community solar system, what would that be? Do you have a number, or should we set Dennis up to meet with Leo?
Dennis, I think I'd be happy to follow up with you. I don't know the threshold, the minimum, but we can give you that information.
Okay, all right. And so let's come back to it. Dennis, do you want to put your email in the chat, or you could chat it to Carmen? And Charlotte, I know you have a question. I'm assuming it's about community solar, but I just want to get Mary's EV campaign, and then we've got this last half hour for Q&A, or now it'll be 20 minutes. Okay, does that work? Okay, all right, Mary. You should be able to share now. Okay, so we are transitioning to the last of the 3 community campaigns. This one is electric vehicle. Sustainable Westchester is not able to support an electric vehicle campaign at this moment. So Mary's going to share how they did it in Hastings.
Thanks.
So, yep.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Great. Presenter mode. All right, so my name is Mary Lambert. I am a coordinator as well at the Hudson Valley Regional Council. I am the coordinator for the Climate Action Planning Institute. But back in 2021, I was head of our Climate Smart Communities Task Force, and we decided to do a CEC community campaign for EVs, and I led that up. So just a bit about the goals, the success criteria, and the initial steps. We really wanted to focus on helping constituents save money and, of course, reduce emissions. We wanted to lead by example and be visible and active in the community on climate change, and to ramp up EV adoption in the village. We decided to hold 2 events, at least 2 events, and we wanted to collect a list of emails so we could use that for future outreach. And last but not least, we wanted to sign up 10 people who had purchased EVs or plug-in hybrids, as that was the CEC criteria for funding. So how did we do that? We initial steps, we recruited a team of 4 core members. As I mentioned, I, at the time, was on the Climate Smart Communities Task Force, but I've listed here some other organizations and committees and commissions within Hastings that we tapped for these members for our core team on the campaign. We named the campaign Charge Up Hastings. We filled out the scoping document. We set up a Gmail address, chargeuphastings@gmail.com. We found partners to help us, and I'll talk a little bit more about that, as well as the website, brochureware, and we decided to hold 2 online events and 2 in-person events, as well as tabling at popular village events. And we spent a fair amount of time also responding to email requests, whether it was questions about purchasing an EV or EVs in general. Okay, so partnerships. So these were our key partners. Sustainable Westchester at the time was pretty active in helping us. They, I believe, still have their Clean Transportation Initiative, and so there's a lot of good information you can find on that website, as well as the Electrification Coalition website. They have great brochures you can download, and they also provided a webinar participant for one of our webinars, as did Sustainable Westchester. The next 3 are all part of Plug in America. They have a great EV guide. They have a National Drive Electric Week, which is coming up soon this fall. So if you're doing this campaign, I encourage you to follow up on that as soon as possible. And then in the spring, they have a Drive Electric Earth Day event, which again, I'll talk a little bit more about later. NYSERDA's Charge New York website is very helpful for the latest rebates and credits, and Con Ed's Smart Charge site also has some great information on utility charging incentives. And also to note, we did actually use some of these partnerships when we applied for CSC for PE1 partnerships with other entities. So just something to keep in mind if you are also looking to apply or submit for CSC. So here's the website for the National Drive Electric Week. You enter your zip code and you can then find events near you. So if you sign up your event beforehand, your event will pop up if anyone looks for information on events near their zip code. And the interesting thing about this is that there are a lot of EV enthusiasts out there, it turns out. So when people see that there's an event near them, they reach out to you and say, hey, can I come to your event and bring my EV? And of course you say, great, come. And so you have a lot of people show up with their EVs, and they're very passionate about their EV and they like to talk about it. And so, you know, I think it's really valuable to invite them and to register your event here. And they also have volunteers that sometimes are available to help at your events if you let them know you need volunteers. We were a little unsure at first how to form dealership partners, but I ended up just Googling EV dealerships near us, near Hastings, and calling them. And when I was able to reach a salesperson, I got their name and their phone number, and I asked them what EVs they had in stock, and they gave me a list, and I just put it into a spreadsheet, and I put it up on our website. Marketing and outreach, we put a website together on the Village of Hastings government website, our official government website. And here is the link if you want to check it out. But basically, it talks generally about EVs. We also added a FAQ on e-bikes and e-scooters because we realized there were a lot of questions on those, and people in Hastings in particular seemed very interested in learning more about those. So I think that was an important addition. We also have a lot about charging because, again, lots of questions about how to charge an EV and how in Hastings to charge. So that was also important. Our mayor in Hastings is passionate about climate action and sustainability. So she was happy to include this little blurb in her mayor's message. She also did a great job of tying the campaign into our inventory report, our greenhouse gas emissions inventory report. And we had found that fleet emissions were one of the largest sectors of greenhouse gas emissions. So buying EVs was particularly relevant for people who really care about reducing community-wide greenhouse gas emissions. These are just some photos of our Tesla Y, which we had gotten for the police department in 2020, so right before this campaign happened. So we leveraged that to sort of gain momentum and excitement around EVs in the village. We leveraged social media to try and get the word out about our events. Again, Sustainable Westchester was great in providing some signage and brochures, et cetera. And we really focused in on the rebates and perks. I know Liz is there's been some talk about this already, but federal rebate at $7,500, the New York State rebate at $2,000, all the savings on gas and maintenance. I won't go through it all now, but overall, you can save, I believe, between $6,000 and $15,000 a year over the lifetime of an EV, and that's independent of the initial rebates and incentives. So, we really felt it important to educate people about the cost savings, not to mention the discounts through EV on charging. There's an EV Easy Pass where you save about 10% or more, depending on whether you're using it during commuting hours or not. And it differs a little from bridge to bridge and highway to highway. And then you also can use the HOV lanes on the Long Island Expressway. Some of these things are small, but for certain people, they were really important. So our events, we had a National Drive Electric Day as part of our mini eco fair and in our Zinsser commuting lot. And then we also had a spring thing where we included EVs. This is actually from the spring thing. Excuse me. And as you can see, we had people open the trunks of their EVs to see, sort of under the hood, and the people who own these EVs came and spoke about them. And this is one of our more impassioned volunteers. And, you really can't find a better salesperson than a person who's bought an EV. It was an early adopter and, it loves EVs. So that was really helpful. This is our another event we had down by the train station, and you can't really see here, but we had lots of people show up who were part of the National Drive Electric Week list, who were from neighboring communities. And so again, it was just sort of a fun event with lots of people talking about their EVs and what they liked and what they didn't like. And some people even let strangers drive their EVs because they just felt so impassioned by EVs and letting people understand what a great driving experience it was. This was an online event. We had the do's and don'ts of buying an electric car. We had the first two speakers spoke about sort of all things EV, and then the third speaker talked about really the cool EVs on the market, and that was sort of fun. He had a lot of great photographs of some of the high-end EVs just to kind of get people excited about you know, how quickly they accelerate and just, you know, all the cool sort of bells and whistles. So that was a particularly fun event. Just some lessons learned and how we measured success. We were kind of late to realize that NYSERDA has a great tool on their website. It's called the Electric Vehicle Registration map, and it has really EVs broken down by county and even by zip code. So you can type in your zip code, you can click your zip code here and see all the EVs for your zip code, and with a breakdown by vehicle type and battery versus plug-in hybrid. So that was really helpful and kind of eye-opening as we realized this is actually for all of Westchester County, but it's very similar for Hastings. We realized that that Tesla was way dominant and we really need to focus more on Tesla. So we ended up getting some information from the Mount Kisco dealership and really trying to promote them more because they seem to be so popular at the time. And I believe that's still pretty much the case. So so I definitely encourage you to check that out. And this is the community campaign customer list that you have to hand in at the end. And we started updating this early on and realized again, how many Teslas we had and how that was going to be an issue because they weren't an original partner of ours. We also realized that upwards of 30% of the people who wrote to their Gmail, our Gmail account and said that they had purchased an EV didn't purchase it from one of the dealerships that we had quote unquote partnered with. In other words, they were bought out of state, even in some cases. So we had to edit this on a continual basis so that we just included ones that we had a partnership, dealerships that we had a partnership with. So quickly, some lessons learned. Definitely, I would leverage that EV registration map I showed you. It comes from DMV data, and you can even look it on a month-to-month basis to know exactly how many EVs were purchased recently in your municipality. And then partner with the most popular brands. Leverage partner resources and assets. There's tons of great stuff out there on the websites that I mentioned. I collect names and addresses along the way because again, a lot of them won't end up being ones you can actually use. So it's important to just keep on top of that. And then lastly, recruit passionate local EV owners. They, I think, are the best salespeople and try and make it fun. So that's it. Thank you. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. And here's my email address below.
Thank you, Mary. And I just want to jump in to say that Hudson Valley Regional Council, we want to make it easier for communities to do EV campaigns. So Liz and I and Mary are working on sort of creating a like one-stop shop, sort of trying to mimic what the amazing work that Sustainable Westchester has done, but on a much less intense scale, to get more communities to give them materials and things to do these EV campaigns. So look for that in the next few weeks. We'll try to give you some resources to help you do an EV campaign if you're interested.
Great. Thanks, Eleanor. Okay, and thanks everybody so much for being on this call. Before we move into Q&A, I just want to express my gratitude again to the other presenters and also to you, the volunteers who are taking time out of their day to implement campaigns in their areas. If it wasn't for you, we'd have no program. So thank you so much for the work you're doing. It makes a huge difference in your community and in the wider world. So much appreciation.